Surprisingly, I realized that I have just hit the 5-year anniversary of making these video essays, and that feels like a pretty cool milestone. So to celebrate, I thought I would look at some of the worst comments I've ever received. Oh hi, I'm all dressed up for the anniversary special and to thank our sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is once again sponsoring this old chunk of coal. You know Squarespace, right? It's the all-in-one website platform that helps you stand out and succeed online. Yeah, you know that one. Whether you're just starting it, whether you're scaling up your business, or whether you want something new that doesn't suck, you can use Squarespace. Because Squarespace gives you everything you need to claim your domain, showcase your offerings with a professional website, grow your brand, and get paid all in the same place. I've mentioned before, but I got the BelieveItOrNot.com now, which is fantastic. It was so easy for me to put together. I was not expecting it to be that easy to make a professional-looking website, but bing, bong, boom, it was done. It was awesome, and Squarespace made it easy to do and easy to understand. Say you're starting a bow tie company, and you want to get that bow tie out there to all your bow tie enthusiasts. Well, you just use Squarespace, you create that bow tie company, and then you can use their cutting-edge design tools, get a fully customized website in just a few steps, using basic information about your bow tie company, about your goals, about your personality, and you generate this really great site. Simply using drag and drop editing, beautiful styles, and unrivaled visual effects. Oh, but you probably need a lot of experience in web design? No, you do not. And then you can offer your bow ties, get paid, set up consultations, customize your website to attract dapper people like me, grow your business, get paid on time, with professional on-brand invoices and online payments, and just streamline that workflow, all thanks to Squarespace. So go on down to squarespace.com/belief for a free trial, and when you are ready to launch, use offer code BELIEF to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Because you know what? Squarespace is cool, and bow ties are cool. Hey everybody, thank you so much for liking, subscribing, and commenting, and being with me for these past 5 years. I really appreciate it. I put the links down below for the social media, and for the Patreon, and for a secret that I'll never tell, and you'll never find. So to be very clear up front, most of the comments I have received on this channel are lovely and really encouraging and make my day better and brighter. Most of the time when I look at the comments, it's not like the old adage of,
first rule of the internet, do not read the comments.
Most of the time when I look at the comments, it's actually quite wonderful. But some of the comments are not as nice. And I thought it would be fun, I guess, to have a look at some of them. This whole channel is garbage and nothing but a straw man. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to be garbage, that's my bad. Mea culpa, if you will. But a straw man? I show clips of people, and then I talk about what those people said in those clips that I showed. Not sure if that could be a straw man. Unless I'm doing something like showing a clip of one person saying something and saying that every single Christian believes this. And since I regularly say that there isn't a single thing that every single Christian believes, I don't think that's what I'm doing here. This channel sucks. Sorry about that. You really need to stop. I don't think I'm gonna stop, anytime soon at least. But you're more than welcome to watch something else. There are some amazing channels here on YouTube.com. May I recommend maybe The Annoying Orange? Stop pretending like you care, atheists. I do care. I'm sorry if it seems like I don't care. The theology of this video stinks. My wife... It stinks. Do not recommend. I mean, the full extent of the theology of this channel is that God doesn't exist. So I guess if you're looking for something more in depth, then yeah, this might not be the channel for you. But thank you for that review, I guess, for that feedback, and it would help anybody who's looking for a theology channel. If you're looking for a theology channel, this might not be the channel for you, because it's not that. And one thing I'm going to try really hard to do is to not mock spelling or grammar. Dyslexia and other learning disabilities are a thing, and some people don't have English as a first language. So I'm going to try really hard not to make fun of anybody's spelling or grammar, but there are a lot of people who think that the name of this channel has terrible grammar.
Your illiteracy has screwed us again, Charlie. That doesn't make any sense.
I usually like to point out that in the movie The Santa Claus, starring Tim Allen, the name of the movie has an E at the end of Claus, even though the name Santa Claus does not have an E. And this is because Tim Allen's character is bound by a legal clause that he has to be Santa Claus after putting on Santa Claus's pants. So it's a play on words because he's Santa Claus, and also there is a Santa Claus. It's a legal joke, and kids love legal jokes. But for whatever reason, the people who left these comments didn't quite understand the word play. Like this man. So believe, with a V, is a verb. It means to have confidence in the truth. Then belief, with an F, is a noun. It means a religious faith or the feeling of being certain that something is true. That's what Google said. Believe it or not. He's actually very close to getting it. You see, when me and my friend Damien started this channel, it was for our podcast. We started the channel in 2018, primarily for the podcast. And the podcast was called Believe It or Not because we talked about different beliefs, and Damien came up with that name.
There's a play on words here, you see.
But somebody was helpful. They didn't like the name of the channel, so they pitched their own name. This channel should be named Paid Gay Commie Millennial by the Devil. Laughing faces. Now, I don't know about this name. The channel name as it is already a little wordy, so this might be a little too long. I feel like if I was going to rebrand, I would go shorter, not longer. And I'm not 100% sure here whether you're saying that the devil paid for this channel or that it's paid for and it's hosted by the devil. Paid Gay Commie Millennial Podcast is by the devil. It's a little confusing. I just don't want to confuse the audience further. They're already confused by the name. So again, I don't think this is going to work. This guy that has this channel is an apostate, folks. His advice and opinions are not wise. That's true. I am an apostate. That is an astute observation. I don't know if my opinions are wise or foolish. I just know that they're my opinions. Take them, leave them, engage with them, disagree with them, do what you want with them, but I'm just here sharing my opinions. The fact that you are saying the church already makes your video invalid. So in a number of my early videos, I said the phrase the church in the title. This was me giving Christians the benefit of the doubt. I know that there are like 40,000 Christian denominations, but when I was a believer, we talked about churches, as in the local church or denominations, and the church. The church being Christians, believers all around the world who are saved by Christ, and that is the big church, the big C church, as many Christians call it, forgetting that the big C is what people call cancer, and to be honest, there's too many similarities, so maybe don't call it the Big C. As explained here in this video by a very conservative Christian channel.
The church is not a denomination or a building. The true church is a people, sealed by the Holy Spirit for the day of redemption, assembling together in the name of Christ, who gave himself for us, dying on the cross to redeem us from all lawlessness and purify a people zealous for good works. The church is the body of Christ, and Christ is the head, growing us together in him. The church is the bride of Christ, being sanctified by his word. The church is the work of Christ, and hell will not prevail against it.
But at the end of the day, most Christians that I've encountered, especially through this channel, don't like the idea of the church, the big C church, there being some sort of unity within Christianity, because they like that they're divided. They like that they're divided because then they never have to take accountability for things done in the name of their religion, things done in the name of their God, their Savior. They can just say that the people who did those things aren't really Christians. Oh, they're just in the wrong denomination. That's not a real Christian. Oh, they're not a true follower of Christ. That way, they don't have to worry about what is done in the name of Christianity because they can just dismiss those people. You quoted a lot of false teachers. They need to be ignored and condemned, but please focus on the good, faithful teachers who genuinely care. So first of all, you can't ignore and condemn someone. You can either ignore them or condemn them. If we ignore the harmful things done by these people, then we enable them to keep doing it, and we enable them to keep doing it in the name of your religion. We're enabling that harm. And then when I do condemn them, I get people like this saying they aren't real Christians. But that doesn't help the situation. That doesn't make them stop doing the things. It just gives the people saying that an opportunity to separate themselves. I also believe that all Christianity and all religions are false religions. So it's not possible for me to pick the rightest version of something that I believe is completely false. If you believe that the people I'm calling out are causing harm, why would you want me to stop calling them out? Why wouldn't you join in with me in calling them out? If you want to debunk Christianity, try debunking what it really is and not what evangelical preachers think it is. They're working from the premise that the entire point of this channel is to debunk Christianity. Then because Christianity is so divided, they are able to dismiss what I'm saying because they don't see the people I'm showing clips of as actually being Christian. When the point of this channel has never been to debunk Christianity. I've made a couple videos about why I'm not convinced by Christian arguments or Christian apologetics, but it's not the main purpose of this channel. Number one, it's for people who have left the faith or are in the process of deconstructing, to let them know that they are not alone, to let them know that they are allowed to ask questions, and to let them know that they are okay and they deserve love. And second, it's to call out harm caused by churches and Christians and let people know that they aren't alone in the trauma that has been caused by these churches. So I don't really care about finding the real Christianity and then debunking that version of Christianity. I care about finding harm and calling out that harm. You have to believe in God to hate God, silly theist. I know a lot of people who hate Skylar from Breaking Bad, and her only crime was that she didn't want her husband to be a meth dealer.
Do not sell marijuana to my husband.
Well, I mean, I guess her other crime was helping him be a meth dealer, but you know what I mean. You can hate fictional characters. I mean, I personally don't hate God. I hate what religion does to people, but no, I don't hate God. Change your bio, you were never a Christian. Once Christian, always Christian. Yeah, that's another common thing. I was never really Christian, therefore I can't be an ex-Christian. And I'm pretty sure that this one comes out of insecurity. My very existence as someone who used to be a strong believer in God, someone who dedicated my life to Christ, someone who made him my number one priority in life. If someone like me can walk away, then it's possible that all this person's experiences, all that he believes with all of his heart, could be false. So instead of wrestling with that, instead of trying to make sense of that, he calls me a liar, or he says I was deceived and that I was never really a Christian.
Rudeness is merely the expression of fear.
Anyone claiming to be an ex-something was never that thing to begin with. This video is just another rant of someone who claims to know more than God. Just because you have zero answers on anything, i.e. race, religion, or the universe, doesn't mean you don't already know that everyone else is wrong. Anyone claiming to be an ex-something was never that something to begin with. An ex-husband was never actually a husband. An ex-Marine was never in the Marines. An ex-employee, yeah, they never worked there. But yeah, I do claim to know more than God, but that's because I don't believe in God. Of course, I think I know more than something that I don't believe is real. I just see things from a different perspective as somebody who once was a Christian and now isn't. But there's something about Christians and religious people that any questioning or any criticism of their faith, they take as a personal attack and they get very, very angry. As a Christian, I find this very evil. You are spitting lies from the devil's tongue. I hope you get saved now, before it's too late. God bless. I try not to spit lies from the devil's tongue, but let me tell you, that tongue is wet and warm. But seriously, folks, the good news is that one day, every knee will bow, and every tongue will confess. Which I guess means no on the free will thing. When I ask why babies are born with cancer, if God is love, it's because of the fall of man, which was because of free will. But when I say I don't believe in their religion, I'm told that someday I will bow and I will confess, whether I like it or not. And I assure you that if God is real and that God is the God of the Bible, as described in the Bible, I will not bow to that God of my own free will. I've only received a few death threats, but I've received a lot of threats of eternal damnation. Which, I mean, they might as well just threaten me with the Wicked Witch of the West. But what gets me is that they believe it. They believe that I will be tortured for eternity simply for pointing out how Christians hurt people, how certain Christian doctrines are harmful, or even just how certain Christian doctrines don't make sense to me. For that, they're gleeful because they believe I will be tortured for eternity. Can't wait for Judgment Day when a Christian that saw God's grace and goodness, whom then say it isn't real, sounds like an unforgivable sin. They look forward to it. They can't wait for Judgment Day. Everything Mr. TP says is so wrong as to beggar belief. Surely he must know that the more he denies the existence of hell and the absolute perfection and righteousness of its terrible decree, the more intense the punishment he will suffer should he fail to repent of his current willful unbelief. They don't want justice. They want vengeance, simply for asking questions and making them uncomfortable. People with good arguments and good evidence don't need this. This is a tool for small-minded bullies who need to feel superior. You better be careful crossing the road. There is a bus with your name on it. That's just a death threat, or at least it's wishing my death for some reason.
Sometimes I think things, but I don't say them out loud. Because then people hear them and it might hurt their feelings.
Oh my God. I am harsh. I'm harsh!
Most people aren't against me calling out religion, they just don't want me calling out their religion. I call this the now do Islam approach. Now, I don't think these people are looking to be educated on the dangers of Islam. There are plenty of ex-Muslim YouTube channels and resources they can look up. I'm just not an ex-Muslim. I'm an ex-Christian. I live in a predominantly Christian country in a part of the world where one of the biggest threats to freedom is Christian nationalism. So I talk about Christianity. I'm not telling people to go convert to Islam. I'm not saying it's a great religion that does good things. It's just not what this channel is about. I wonder if these people go on to electronic repair videos and ask why they don't repair bicycles. This is whataboutism. They don't want to face their problems, so they just point at another religion and say, see, they're worse. Christians may be bad, but there's way less Christians killing gays than other religions and governments. Maybe focus on them a bit. I don't know, man. Bragging that your religion kills less gay people than other religions? Not a flex. The number of people that you should kill for being gay is 0. You don't get immunity because you kill less gay people. This wouldn't work in court. Your Honor, I only killed 3 people. John Wayne Gacy killed way more than that. Whataboutism? Not the best argument. Not really a good defense of your religion. It's just passing the buck. There's also another classic one, and that's to compare me to other atheists who have been on the internet who were cringy. No, it's true. Reddit atheists were very cringy. And there were a lot of very angry atheists on YouTube and very problematic atheists on YouTube for a long time. Say I were to find something cringy that a Christian has done, which I can't. Obviously, I'm not going to find something cringy that a Christian has done. Would that mean that I would be able to discount anything any Christian has ever said? Again, of course, I'm not going to find anything cringy that a Christian has done.
Can I have your name?
You can. Jesus Christ is Lord.
Okay.
Say it nice and loud. I want to make sure I hear it. I'm way in the back over there, okay?
Behold, the atheist's nightmare. Now, if you study a well-made banana, you'll find on the far side there are 3 ridges. On the close side, 2 ridges. If you get your hand ready to grip a banana, you'll find on the far side there are 3 grooves, on the close side, 2 grooves.
Hey, I just met you. Now, the I in this case refers to the Antichrist. And just meeting you means that he is revealing himself.
You didn't think I really meant that, did you? I was just joking.
Proverbs 13:5 says that a good man hates deceit, and right now, I feel very good.
I'll bet you do. But not for long!
This is Farley McFirefly. He's disabled.
Disabled? Oh, no, Michael. When you're walking with the Lord, you're more than able.
Looper, what's wrong? What's the matter?
All right, everybody, let's feast.
So you go into Hebrew. The letter Vav is also the number 6. Short top, long tail. Short top, long tail. You could have here in Hebrew 666 on.
Hey, Scotty. Jesus, man.
But yeah, so no, can't find anything cringy a Christian's done. So I guess I have to take each of their arguments as they are and actually engage with those arguments. Oh well. There's also the approach of just dismissing me as being beta. You are such a beta coward for blocking comments on your slur propaganda.
Werewolves.
Not
what are we?
Werewolves, not werewolves.
No, it's
a very offensive word to call people.
He's talking about the video I did about the one sermon that preachers preach about being transgender. See, what happened was I really wanted to get the video out on a specific day, and when I uploaded it, there was an issue that I didn't notice till the middle of the night. So I had to go in, re-edit some stuff out of my video, and then re-export it, re-upload it, and by the time it was all done, it was 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was tired, and somehow I accidentally turned off the comments on that video. And then I went to bed because I was really tired and I had scheduled for whatever time the next day. When I woke up, the video was out for a couple hours at that point. And I was annoyed because when you turn off comments on a video, it doesn't get engagement and the algorithm doesn't do anything with it. It just sits there. And I also got angry comments on other videos of people like this using slurs and getting angry. But here's the thing. There's no such thing as beta. That's just something bros say so they don't feel like they've wasted their lives. Alphas and betas don't exist in nature, and they certainly don't exist in human beings. It's outdated science that's been disproven, mostly by the guy who initially put forth the idea of alphas in the wild. But what does exist is men who are afraid of what society thinks of them. So they have to pretend to be this preconceived notion of what manliness is and mock anyone who doesn't fit that standard. They hate the fact that there are people who are just comfortable being themselves because they have had to lock themselves into their own prison, trying to fit into this standard that they shouldn't have to try to fit into. This is a perfect example of why the patriarchy hurts everybody. And for some people, it's just easier to dismiss someone based on their appearance than to actually engage with their ideas. You guys should eat more meat and maybe exercise. You both look gaunt and unhealthy. Please take care of yourself. My favorite thing about this comment is that it was on a video essay. It wasn't on a podcast where I had a co-host. It was just me. So saying you both look gaunt and unhealthy doesn't really make any sense, except for the fact that I did change my shirt at one point. So maybe he thought that once I had a different shirt on, I was a different guy.
It's just me, Barbie. I'm not the Blues Brothers.
I assume this is for two reasons. I mentioned in a video once that I worked at a vegan restaurant for a long time, so he probably assumed I was vegan, and for some people it's fun to make fun of vegans for some reason. That plus lighting is hard sometimes, and if I don't do it right, the bags under my eyes can really just pop. And it's funny, too, that these mean comments are always just framed as just looking out for me, just being a pal, take care of yourself.
No offense.
Yes, offense.
You talk funny. Most annoying voice ever. That's probably just a combination of the fact that I'm Canadian and also I'm a soy boy. Dislike, you sound gay. You sound gay, so I won't take you seriously. That's the same person both times there. And it's a total cell phone. There's nothing wrong with being gay. There's nothing wrong with sounding gay. But there is something wrong with discounting what somebody has to say because you perceive them as being gay or sounding gay. That is a weakness in character. But it's not just how I look. It's not just how I sound. There's also my intelligence that people bring up. Unlike humans, God does not commit murder when he takes a life because he created life and he can take it away anytime he pleases. But I guess you are not smart enough to see this way. Well, I guess I'm just not smart enough. I'm not smart enough to see this. My little brain thinks that if we are routinely told to be more like God, but we're also told that God has different rules than us, that those things don't make sense together. My little brain thinks that if all morality comes from God, but that God is also reported to have done atrocity after atrocity after atrocity, then maybe that's just not adding up. My little brain just sees apologetics like this as workarounds for people who want to say that their God is pro-life while also saying that he regularly kills people. This little brain of mine just can't help but have a sense of morality that doesn't excuse the killing of children, no matter who is doing it. But Trevor, God sees everything, so he knows that those children that he killed would have done evil things in the future, so he stopped it. Okay, so you're saying that God can stop evil. Yet, if I'm not mistaken, there's a lot of evil in this world. But what do I know? I just have a little brain. I love how people who don't adhere to Christian doctrine and our Holy Bible are the first ones to use Christian doctrine and to use the Holy Bible against us as a standard of conduct that we all should live by. I guess that's the only time a heathen will touch or preach the Holy Bible. The Bible demands that we hate sin with all our hearts. Yes, we are using your rule book to point out how you are breaking your own rules. Now, to be fair, your rule book is very confusing and sometimes has rules that contradict other rules, but that's hardly our fault.
This round, Texas doozy. Face cards are wild, threes are jinx, fives are twos.
But yes, atheists often point out Christian hypocrisy using the Christian book. As a Christian, I love how atheists have to beat up on God, the Bible, and Christians in order to give meaning to their pathetic, meaningless lives. First of all, perfect love of Christ. Love it. No notes. You're just showing that love shining through. They'll know we are Christians by this comment right here. Second, fighting against harmful teachings that have real-world consequences and causes real-world pain is something that adds meaning to my life. But I don't think that I have a pathetic, meaningless life outside of that even. I kind of like my life. You can find purpose and meaning in so many different ways. For some people, it's dedicating their lives to worshiping a God who gives them nothing back in an attempt to ensure they get a spot in heaven after they die. And for some people, it's about making sure that the meaning we find or the meaning we create exists here on this planet that we know is real, in this life that we know we have. LMFAO. All these people deconstructing because they don't like acknowledging that they aren't perfect. So this is on the video I did about original sin, and it completely misses the point. It's not that we are deconstructing or have deconstructed from religion because we think we're perfect. It's more that we don't think we're worthless. And there's a huge difference. For one thing, there's no such thing as perfection. That's a made-up concept that doesn't exist in real life. Nobody is saying that they're perfect. However, the concept of original sin says that without the redemption of Christ, that we are broken, we are worthless, and we are unworthy of love. So no, we're not deconstructing because we don't want to acknowledge that we aren't perfect. We are deconstructing because we know we have value. It's not just angry comments from Christians that I get. I do also get angry comments from other atheists. Like, for instance, when I use inclusive language. Love your content, but unhoused is the stupidest thing. Just say homeless. The funny thing is I never said that you had to say unhoused and that you're a terrible person if you said homeless instead of unhoused. I simply used the term. And I do this because I've heard a few unhoused people say that it helps them feel seen. And I haven't heard anyone say that it's a negative term. So I adjusted my language. But as we were discussing this in the comments, he began to lecture me about policing language. And again, I never policed anyone's language. I simply used a term. If anything, he's the one that's policing my language by saying it's the stupidest thing, and then telling me what I should say instead. But what really makes people angry is anytime I say the phrase, people with uteruses. Woman, not person. Woman, not people with uterus. First of all, call me a feminist all you want, but I believe personally that women are people. Not all women have uteruses, and not everyone with a uterus is a woman. And that statement is true even if you don't count trans people in that conversation. And you better believe that I'm counting trans people, but even if you didn't, that statement would still be true. Girls are not women. Some women have had hysterectomies. And I do use the term women. I often use the term women, but just not when talking about something that doesn't only affect women and something that doesn't affect all women. Because remember, this is only when I'm talking about pregnancy or abortion or something like that I'm using this term. We only use inclusive language to dehumanize women for some reason, calling us birthing people, menstruators, chest feeders. Just call us incubators at this point, LMAO. Why aren't we calling men and trans women testicle people or prostate people? I'm going to call y'all that from now on, both cis men and trans women. It's inclusive language, you see. But the thing is, yeah, if I was talking about testicular cancer or prostate cancer, I would 100% say people with testicles or people with prostates. Of course I would say that. But these people aren't saying that because they're feminists. They're saying this because they hate trans people. You had me until the trans part. Then I don't want you. Love your videos, but not down with all this trans delusion stuff. 6 likes for some reason. I'll just skip this one. Please feel free to skip all of them. This isn't a safe space for bigots. Both these people went on to try to shame me for not being able to just agree to disagree on this one issue, especially since they agree with me on almost everything else. But here's the thing, I don't ever want to be a safe space for transphobia, homophobia, sexism, racism, xenophobia, or any other type of bigotry. We can agree to disagree on a million things, but I will never agree to disagree about someone's value based on who they are. If someone said to me, hey, I agree with everything you say, except I don't think that black people should have the same rights as white people, and I didn't immediately tell them to fuck off, you would be right to say that I am okay with racism, or at least I tolerate racism, and I won't. I will not tolerate racism. And I'm not going to tolerate transphobia. I'm not going to tolerate homophobia. I'm not going to tolerate sexism. It's just not going to happen on this channel. And this isn't somebody who is still figuring out where they stand or are still wrestling with the issue. This is someone who took the time to comment that they agree with me, but also that trans people are delusional. This is someone who wants their bigotry known, and I'm not going to stand for it. Okay, let's get back to the Christians for a while. What exactly is so bad about slavery? Oh my fucking God. Okay, so this has been a talking point for a little while now. Most apologists find a way to argue that the Bible is not pro-slavery, even though obviously it's very pro-slavery. Other people will say that, yeah, it's permissive, but it's not prescriptive. God wasn't saying you had to have slaves, but he allowed it since it was the custom of the time, and he put some rules in there. But somewhere along the line, some Christians started saying, well, maybe slavery isn't that bad. Because indoctrinating people into believing that the Bible is the Word of God means that they will choose this book over humanity, over people's right to bodily autonomy. So we get comments like this. And we get people like this little boy who dressed up as an adult today.
The institution of slavery is not inherently evil. I know. Some of you guys are upset by that. Some of you guys are saying, I've been saying that for years. Okay, I'll take it a step further. It is not inherently evil to own another human being. I know. Just wait. Some of you guys are really upset, but let's talk through this because it is very important that every Christian affirm what I just said. And not only should they affirm it, every Christian in today's society should be able to defend what I just said. Okay? Every Christian should be able to defend it. Big evangelicalism has been getting this wrong for years. Basically, since the advent of Big Eva. They haven't had a good answer for the slavery issue. All right? Christians in America have been led astray on this topic. They've been led to believe things that the Bible doesn't teach. And when we go beyond the Bible, there are dire consequences.
They haven't had a good answer because they follow an evil book, not because slavery is good. Of course it is evil to own a human as property. Of course it is evil to force somebody to do work for you. Of course it is evil to take away someone's bodily autonomy. Of course it is evil to take away their freedom simply to make your life a little bit easier. The problem is now you're an atheist and you believe nothing created everything, lol. Yeah, no, I just don't know what started it all. It's a good joke, though. But also remember that Christians are the ones who think that the world was created by words. 9:35. Wow, you destroyed the Bible with facts and logic. How will Christians ever recover from these ironclad arguments against it? I'm going to cry myself to sleep now because the Bible uses a word differently and you can't read. And you again use a word differently from a translated work from the 1600s. Believe it or not, these are actually terrible arguments against the primacy of the Bible and against the scientific accuracy of the Bible. And the reason that this is funny is because it's on a video I did about why people are leaving the church, where I pointed out that there is a lot about science that seems to conflict with the Bible, and a lot of churches don't have a good answer for that. So instead of answering those questions, or trying to bridge that gap with facts and logic, and even the smallest amount of kindness, he got angry, went on a rant about how there were bad arguments, and that I didn't disprove God, and made some sarcastic comment about how he's going to cry himself to sleep. I was simply pointing out that people aren't going to church anymore, and one of the many reasons I listed is that people have trouble reconciling science and the Bible. I didn't say it can't be reconciled. I didn't say it disproved God. I simply said that many churches don't know how to answer these questions. But his defenses were raised, and his compassion was thrown out, and he went into anger and belittling. As if that's going to bring people back into the fold. The reason why people are leaving the church is partially because of snake oil salesmen such as yourself, who deliberately lie and mislead people away from their faith. You don't ever take the time to think through or discuss the other arguments presented to you by these people. Only show one solution out of many proposed by these people, focus entirely on one thing, and then deflect towards a 3-minute long non sequitur about my hypocrisy. That is highly manipulative and extremely biased against the Christian faith. You disgust me. All right. And I'm sure people like me are part of the reason people are leaving the church, but it's not because we are snake oil salesmen. It's not because we are lying and trying to mislead people. It's because we are confirming things about Christianity and about church that people have already been feeling. And we are giving people permission to ask questions. And if your truth fails under such small amount of criticism, maybe it was just never true to begin with. And finally, the I love you guys at the end. What does that even mean? Only in Christianity does that even have any meaning. Here I thought that so many Christians that I've covered on this channel are some of the most unloving people I had ever encountered or heard of, but apparently they're the only ones who are capable of love. And me, as this lowly atheist, am not capable of love. That's interesting. Well, anyway, I know that most of you are lovely and just have been amazing and supportive, and I am so thankful for all that support over these last 5 years, 7 if you started with the podcast. Hey everybody, thank you so much for making it this far. If you know someone who may benefit from it, send it their way. As always, I can't say I love you. I like you. You're fine. You'll do in a pinch. Man, I wish I was a Christian so I could love.
Work, Sky Moon.